Greetings, Air Acolytes, and welcome back to Breaking Wind, a Last Airbender podcast. I am your host, Jason Roy Gaston, and the man to my side is my brother from another mother, the one, the only, thank goodness, VHS Jace. And how are you this fine evening or afternoon or whatever it is on the other side of the planet right now?
It's very good lunchtime here in Australia, where I'm currently trying to appease my own troubles with some gods here called the internet gods. So I apologize in advance, I'm a bit choppy.
Yes, well, you're always a little choppy, you're always a little blocky. It's fine. We don't notice any difference here. I, on the other hand, am in full glorious HD, so I more than make up for it. And speaking of making up for it, we have got two new exciting episodes of Avatar The Last Airbender to look forward to today as we begin our countdown to the premiere of Netflix's live-action Avatar The Last Airbender television series. It had better be good, because...
Hey, can I just interrupt? You actually sent me some character posters from the show the other day in our chat. Go look them up, guys. They look really good.
They look amazing. We're still kind of stung from the movie from Who Shall Not Be Named. Oh, there goes my phone in the floor. See,
That's how much he thinks about Shamhammer.
I even thought about him, and disaster struck, and now I've got the hiccups. Oh my gosh, hold on. There we go. So, without further ado, and now I'm blurry again. Stop it. Hold on. It's in 3D.
Oh.
Right. I don't know why, but that helps it. Come on. Yes. Yes. Yeah, no,
You're as chaotic as the Fire Nation right now, Jason.
I really am, and I will burn you. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at Season 1, Episode 15, Bato of the Water Tribe. Every time I hear that, it makes me think of that old SNL sketch, I am Nandor of the Hill People. The caveman who became the lawyer. Maybe I'm getting two sketches mixed up, but sometimes they're better that way. So Bato of the Water Tribe. We begin with Aang finding a weapon, which is never a good thing. I love Aang's face here. It's like, ooh, look at me. I'm Sokka. I'm serious. I have a weapon. Blah, blah, blah. Aang finds a weapon, and Sokka is very interested in it because it is a Water Tribe weapon, and he immediately wants to know, what were the Water Tribe doing here? He goes on the hunt and discovers a boat, and not just any boat. It's a boat from his dad's fleet. So his dad was there, and of course that gives Sokka all kinds of feels, but not as many feels as our friend Zuko is feeling, because Zuko has a quiet meditation session with his uncle. Meditation or tea, I don't remember. It is interrupted, though, by the arrival of Crazy Star-Nosed Mole Lady. Crazy Star-Nosed Mole Lady is looking for a stowaway on Zuko's boat. Zuko says, we have no stowaways on our boat. Well, Crazy Star-Nosed Mole Lady finds the stowaway, and
it's just dawned on me, that thing was a giant mole. That's why you're calling her the Mole Lady.
Yeah, the Crazy Star-Nosed Mole Lady.
Yeah.
Which is
if
also
you call a lady a mole here in Australia, it means something completely different.
Appropriate or inappropriate? I'm guessing since it's Australian,
it just kind of alludes that they may be loose in morals.
Oh,
yeah,
a mole.
Yeah, so
see, over here, that just
one Australian lady
you're
is fighting with another Australian lady, they're going to yell at each other and go, you're nothing but a mole.
Oh.
We are a sophisticated bunch down here, people.
Indeed you are, and I love you all for it. But, I kind of appreciate Iroh's reaction to Crazy Star-Nosed Mole Lady. Notice I never bothered to learn her name. She's Crazy Star-Nosed Mole Lady. He is just instantly smitten with her. And it actually almost veers into inappropriateness a couple of times. Because he comes off as a bit of a perv in this episode. Just a dirty old man.
He may have a little bit of a crush.
He might, and I have to admit that there are times where I'm like, is he being inappropriate, or did he just take advantage of a situation that was given to him? I
Well,
don't know.
if I will say in this episode, if he'd because what's great, they go back to some of the places where they were in the previous episodes.
Which is
The
delightful, yes.
fortune teller was pretty keen on him.
Oh yeah.
You know, when they
Oh
she
yeah.
seemed, hey, handsome.
But as
Should have
a
gone for her.
as a Fire Nation soldier, he's gonna go for the hot ones.
True.
I did
True.
I did like his response to the fortune teller, saying, "There at my age, there's only one mystery, and I would just rather keep that a mystery. Thank you very much." Which you don't know at this point, but a little bit of a um that's a little bit of foreshadowing, not even for this series, but for the Legend of Korra, and it's paid off in a very delightful way.
Wow.
Yeah, so I doubt they were thinking that far ahead, but you know, sometimes whenever you're writing something, you're like, oh yeah, I had a character say this a long time ago. Let's pretend like this was what was going to happen the entire time.
I will say this though, Jace. That's what when I watch this show, I pay full attention because I know even they're laying seeds right now that if I don't pay attention, I'm not going to get the full impact later on. So it's like I study these shows now.
You're going to be a Avatar conspiracy theorist here in a minute. I can guarantee you though that they are laying the foundation for things right now that you won't see coming.
Oh,
And
okay,
whenever
cool.
it does happen, you're not going to be like, oh, you just be like, oh, cool, nice, I like that. Getting back into this episode though, we have lots of flashbacks for
Oh,
Sokka, and they're heartbreaking flashbacks.
I shed a tear at that scene.
Yeah,
That
Sokka
got
has
me
got
right
some
here.
abandonment issues, like some severe abandonment issues, as well as he should. Uh,
Mm.
Seeing his dad leave him behind, now we really understand why he was so uh, determined to watch after the Water Tribe and to make sure that they were ready in case the Fire Nation ever came with them. Because Sokka really did think he was the last line of defense. It was not a delusion of grandeur. He really was the last line of defense. And I like that Sokka is getting respect as a character at this point, because he could have been comedy relief, but he's a very smart, capable, and three-dimensional character. I actually think
Very
he's the
much
smartest
so.
of the three.
Like very much showed in this. You remember the first episode when I went, he's a buffoon. I don't
Yeah,
like him. Great writing, isn't it? Like already that I'm
it
going
is.
like, nah, he's a multi-dimensional character here. They're really fleshing him out.
He is, and that's why the conflict that pops up in this episode is so juicy, because they find Bato of the Water Tribe, half man, half mummy.
Mm.
Sokka and Katara come across him, and this is a comrade of their father's who had to stay behind because he was injured, and he convalesced with a bunch of nuns, and now he's about ready to rendezvous with their dad, and tells them, "Hey, I'm gonna go meet your dad. You want to come with?" They haven't seen their dad in like 2 years, so of course
Yeah.
this is a huge it's a huge temptation for them. This is actually where the episode starts going wrong for me, because
Mm.
they pull one of my least favorite dramatic tropes. And that is that if Aang would have said something at any point, the episode would have been a lot easier. But he gets up and walks away. He's sad. And then Sokka says, "Oh, no, we
Mm.
can't go with you. We have to stay with the Avatar."
Yeah, I will
But
agree with
now
that. That was
it's just
such a played out trope. Yeah.
yeah, it's a played out trope, as you said. And
Mm.
it it makes Aang such a despicable brat for the next 5 to 7 minutes, because the
Oh
messenger
yeah.
comes with the map, hands it to Aang, and says, "Get this to Bato." Aang wads it up and puts it under his armpit. I'm assuming it's his armpit, because I don't think he's got any pockets in there, but maybe he does.
Mm.
I don't know. Instantly. And I know Aang's a kid, but Aang has shown better judgment in the past. Aang
Well,
has
you know
shown
what I
that
struggle with?
What's that?
I struggle with the fact that, okay, he felt left out and he felt like, oh, look, they're gonna leave me alone. But to me, it doesn't translate why he would then hinder their journey, like hiding it, because as far as he's concerned in his own mind at that time, they're already gone. So in his mind, if they're already going to leave him, why the map? You know what I mean? And why wouldn't Aang, who's is the ultimate optimist, run back with the map and go, guys, I found the map. Let's get on Upper and go.
That,
You know,
and we just had an episode a few weeks ago where Aang makes a point of saying, if you guys would just talk to each other, you would get along. And now he's not even following his own advice.
100%.
I don't say it very often with this series, but that, not necessarily the entire episode. I'm not saying about the entire episode, but this dramatic turn where Aang just misunderstands and then hides the map from Katara and Sokka, it's bad writing.
It is, because you know what else, Jason? We know predictably exactly where this goes now.
Yeah,
because they chose that journey. It's the whole thing is kind of played out in front of us from that second, because then we know, well, at some point, Aang's going to have to come back and save them.
Yes.
As soon as they split apart, you know, well, now we're wasting time, because really they're going to come back together. So, yeah.
Yeah, very disappointed.
But I will say, as you get too close to this end of the episode, all is forgiven by the end for me.
Yeah, because it is a very strong episode otherwise. It's just, it's like it's like getting the most delicious soup of your life and finding a fly in it. Yeah, you could scoop the fly out. You could eat the rest of the soup. Soup could be delicious, but all you can think about is there was a fly in this. That's how I feel about that scene. Let's see. I have left myself in my notes behind. You've already mentioned this, but Zuko enlists the help of crazy star-nosed mole lady because she damaged his ship, which I thought was very smart. You damaged my ship. You have to pay for it. Well, I don't have money. Great. You can pay for it in another way. You're going to help us find the Avatar. I thought that was very smart of Zuko. To take that. Smart. Yeah, to take that craziness that entered his life and just take full advantage of it. And so they go on their little mini quest on the side where we say hello to two characters from previous episodes that were just fun to see. First of all, the crazy herbalist and her little cat Mimi or Misu or whatever the cat's name was. And then, of course, the fortune teller who flirts with Iroh, but Iroh's he's got himself a pretty lady already, or at least he thinks he does.
Yeah.
So Bato decides to take Sokka on a water tribe rite of passage that he never got to do whenever he was a boy because his father wasn't around, called ice dodging. It's a very, very cool sequence. It shows off Sokka's leadership skills and it shows off his prowess in being a leader. And I love the fact that he uses Aang and Katara's bending to get around rocks that Bato thought was impossible to get around. So again, Sokka
I don't like that. I love that.
Yes. So again, it shows Sokka is a very smart leader, and that there's definitely great things in this kid's future.
Yeah,
but it's right here that Aang is finally guilted because they say that his position was all about trust, and they say trust about 5 or 6 times, and the entire time they're saying trust, trust, trust. You know what's about to happen. Aang loses it and says, I don't deserve this. I hid the map from you. And of course, this really upsets Sokka quite a bit, as it should.
What do you think about that? As it should. Like, I don't have any problems with their reaction.
No, I don't have any problems with their reaction either. I thought it was very appropriate because I can't imagine anybody reacting any other way. They overreacted when they said they were going to leave him behind, but they immediately, within a few minutes, once they think about it, they think, oh, we got to go back. We can't just leave him. But
showing more maturity by Sokka again, right?
Yes,
because he's the one who comes to that, says it.
Yeah, and it's the right decision because it's like, do we see our dad or do we help save the world? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You may want to frame that in your own head a bit clearer.
Yeah.
Hey?
So they decide to head back, but that's when, of course, speaking of a fly in the soup, uh, Zuko shows up with Crazy Star Nose Mole Lady and dirty old Iroh, and I don't know
Oh,
why the mole like bleh, bleh, like stings people with its tongue and
I
like
love
knocks them
that.
out. I love it
Yeah.
too, but in the Avatar universe, they usually combine animals together. Yeah,
Uh,
and I can't figure out what they combined the
well, I'm
star
just
nosed mole
naming
with.
it Molezilla. I like Molezilla's
Mozilla, yeah.
Molezilla's POV stuff. Amazing. I love that he saw the
Yes.
smells as colors. Way into
Yes,
that.
I like that as well. Katara and Sokka are captured and paralyzed. Um, they kind of ripped this scene off for an episode of Teen Wolf a few years ago because there was another character that,
Okay.
yeah, there's a character that would sting people with its tongue and they'd fall down paralyzed. And the whole time I
Okay.
was watching this, I was watching that show, I was thinking, this is Avatar. They stole this scene from Avatar.
Ah, okay.
Of course, they
I'd
added
rather
their own
that
little
than you watching this thinking they stole this from Teen Wolf.
Yeah, no, nobody ever stole anything from Teen
Stole
Wolf.
anything.
No, no, that was actually back whenever Teen Wolf was actually good, and I was
It's
be like,
back
yes,
at
I
like
can't
the
believe.
heydays of CW, perhaps would have been.
Well, actually, MTV, if you can believe it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, it was good for a little while, and then it got bad.
Remember when MTV actually played music?
No,
No.
that was a myth.
Yeah, it's like the Mandela effect. That thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Moving
got
on.
to say,
never-
yes. Yeah,
No.
I can't wait to talk about this fight scene, Jace.
Oh yes, because we have Molezilla versus Appa, and we have Aang versus Zuko the rematch. That is such an awkward still.
It is, but
It looks
what
like
a
they're
fight on top
oh
of the
my
world.
goodness.
You know what I loved about that scene too? When the world was still together, he's like he's jumped up. He's like vertically kind of maneuvering around. I don't know. I just really love that fight between those two because I know nothing serious is going to happen at the end of it. But the fact that they're kind of learning from each other how they fight, I just kind of really dug it.
Yes, it was an exciting fight. It was a two-way fight because you had your kaiju fight and then you had your Zuko and Aang fight. And again, Sokka coming up with the brain thinky things, figures out how to disable the star-nosed mole by dousing it with perfume that they had already established.
Chanel number 5.
Yes, and there was also, I thought, the really nice touch, which I was kind of expecting the fight to go in another way because the crazy star-nosed mole lady kept whipping the mole with her whip. And I
Yeah, I
was
know.
thinking that Appa was going to like take the whip away and the star-nosed mole would like rebel against the crazy lady, but that never happened. But I did like the way that the fight resolved itself with the star-nosed mole using its the tongue and just paralyzing.
Molezilla really had to hit Upper a few times to take him down too.
Yeah. Well, Appa's a big boy. He's a big old chonker. That's okay. But yes, it all ends with Zuko and Mole Lady being paralyzed, and oh my goodness, dirty old Iroh just laying there.
Yeah,
Holding crazy
he's
old mole
fine.
lady.
I love what he did. I don't remember you getting stung by the
Yeah, just-
the Molezilla. Oh,
yeah, dirty old man. Dirty old man.
dirty,
Don't be a
dirty
dirty
old
old man. Yeah. And of course, the episode ends with Aang giving with Aang learning that Sokka and Katara are going to stay with him, and they're going to have to not see their dad this time. And of course, Aang returns the necklace to Katara, which ends that little what do you call it, story arc.
Yeah.
And I like the playful banter about here. Zuko wanted to make sure that you got this. Well, give Zuko a kiss for me next time you see him. I thought that was really cute.
Can I ask a question? What are your thoughts on this episode overall? Because I don't know how the public perceives it, but I go, yeah, it had some weaknesses, but I think for me to really understand Sokka, this is imperative, this episode, because I think it does a lot of building of his character in one episode.
I think the episode was a lot of good things with bad things sprinkled in it.
Mm.
I do think that the good outweighs the bad, but the bad is very, very pungent.
It's that specific couple of decisions in the middle of the episode, but
Yeah, I think that
still.
if they would have just, I think that if they had just moved Sokka and Katara being taken to before Aang decides to lie to them about the map, and he just couldn't tell them, but he has that wonder the whole time. Are they getting ready to leave me? I think that would have done wonders for the plot. Even with him leaving without hearing Sokka say they weren't going to leave, I just think it would have done wonders for the plot. It would have done wonders for, Aang's character, because I do think Aang's character took a huge backslide in this episode.
Yeah, a little bit. He's probably behaving the most immature than I've seen him behave.
Yeah.
For
And
this.
I could forgive that because he is just a little kid. He's 12 years old at this point, I think. But his actions here are contradicted by his own words in previous episodes. And
exactly.
so that's what gets me more than anything.
If this was in early in the season as part of his arc as a character, you'd buy into it, his behavior way more. But like you said, we've already seen him be the mature one. We've already seen him make the right choices, and it just seems off-brand. Maybe even if they did in a previous episode alluded to that Aang's struggling at the moment, that he has, we could have bought into it more.
Quite honestly, and this thought just came to me, I would have bought Sokka hiding a map over Aang because Sokka does have separation issues, and they show it in this episode. I would have been perfectly fine with Sokka panicking and hiding something that he thought was going to separate him and Katara.
That's my favorite scene, by the way. The flashback is my favorite
Yes.
scene in the whole episode.
Most definitely. But overall, as I said, I think the good in this episode outweighs the bad. So I'm fine with it. But let us speak of it no more. Let us move on to season 1, episode 16.
Mr. Bato.
Yes.
Sorry.
Let's move on to The Deserter, which is, I'm assuming, an episode about pies and cakes.
Pies.
And bad decisions. Very, very bad decisions. But at least Aang is being consistent here. The gang comes across a village of firebenders, or Fire Nation people, and they're having a fire festival, which I think is 50% off at Kmart. They decide to disguise themselves so that Aang can observe the firebenders. First of all, this is their disguise.
Awesome.
Aang is still wearing his airbender robes.
Yes. He doesn't even try.
Yeah, he doesn't try. And he keeps lifting his mask up the entire time. You just want to slap him at one point.
Yeah, he's a bit out of control in this episode.
Boy, do you know where you are? Do you even care?
Read the room here, Aang.
But, he wants to observe firebenders so that he can learn how to firebend. Did you not observe Zuko?
Yeah, you think you'd be learning.
Were you never watching what Zuko did?
Yeah.
It's like, I've never observed a firebender before. Have you not, Aang? Really think about it.
But you're right. He goes, it's really, really, really important. He puts a lot of onus on the fact that he needs to learn how to use fire, agreed upon. But then every decision he makes early on just sabotages it for himself.
Yes, let's talk about that. Katara is brought up on stage by a firebending magician, which, number one, it's awesome that there are firebending magicians. I think that would be amazing.
I love that too. Yeah.
But he jumps up on stage and he uses his airbending to basically screw up the guy's act because he's sure that Katara is about to be harmed. And then everybody's like, hey, it's the Avatar that's on all the wanted posters. And Aang's like, hey, how did they know? I was being so careful not to be noticed.
Yeah. And did he not observe what was happening? Like when you go magician and he's like, whoa. And it's like, what? Aang, you're smarter than this. You know that was just a trick. You know she wasn't going to explode into fire.
Is he smarter than this, though? Because I'm having a
Well,
hard
not at the
time
moment.
believing that.
No, not at the
Yeah,
moment.
they are in big trouble, but a mysterious person comes out and is like, hey, come with me. I'll get you out of here.
I have lots
And
of grenades.
yes, I have lots of grenades. I'm a Fire Nation dude. They escape on Appa. They take the mysterious person with them, and they find out that this guy is Che, and he is a ex-firebender. I'm sorry, not a firebender. He's an ex-Fire Nation soldier who left the Fire Nation because he wanted to follow a general, a firebending master who decided to desert the Fire Nation. And this firebending master is a legend named Zhang Zhang. Aang thinks great.
I got to say, straight away, when you're dealing with Fire Nation deserters, you got my full attention. This is a really interesting little storyline and way for them to go, is to talk about deserters, you know. I think it's cool.
I enjoy that because aside from the royal court, this is really the first time we've seen firebending society, the first time we've seen the normies. And I enjoy seeing evil empires not be full of evil people. I enjoy seeing people with principle and people with morals, and which is completely the opposite because General Douchebag is back. I'm sorry, Admiral Douchebag.
Yeah.
He's back and he's hunting the Avatar.
Of course he is.
And he's also got a beef with Zhang Zhang. And that's okay because Zhang Zhang has a beef with Aang. Aang wants Zhang Zhang to teach him the ways of firebending, and Zhang Zhang's like, too old you are. Yes, too old.
You got that vibe too, did you?
Too old you are to begin the training.
Right, though. What he says to him, though, is like, you haven't mastered earthbending and you haven't mastered airbending yet.
Yeah. I did like this scene, though. When Roku shows up and he's like, yes, you are training Aang, and you're going to shut up and you're going to do it.
It was pretty well you know.
This is one of those rare instances where not only is Aang wrong, but Roku is wrong as well. Because Roku says he's ready. I've mastered all the elements for thousands of years. He's ready. No, he is not. He is not ready. Zhang Zhang was right. But we'll get into that later. So we need a training montage. We're gonna need a montage.
Yeah, montage.
Even Rocky had a montage. Montage.
It.
Always fade out at the end of a montage. If you fade out in the scene like more time has passed in a montage.
Thankfully, it's not a normal montage because at the end of all that, oof. Very shocking scene. I was very shocked at the scene that comes out.
Oh, yes. Montage. Yes. Because Aang, pardon me, Aang decides to basically ignore Zhang Zhang because Zhang Zhang's like, you have to breathe. And Aang's like, I don't need to breathe. And he starts basically playing with fire until he manages to make fire. And he's trying to control it. And at first he's all happy and everything. And then he burns Katara severely. And it is a side of Katara you don't see because she is so severely hurt that she just runs off crying. And it is shocking.
Zuko's response is such a big brother response. I loved him in that moment because I don't see violence, but he's like, pushes him over. What are you doing?
Yeah, you burned my sister. You burned Katara. Yeah. Which, again, completely understandable. Maybe not justified, but it is completely understandable. The first time I saw this episode, I will admit, I did think that this was kind of a Deus Ex Machina whenever Katara suddenly finds out that she could heal with water. I'm
Mm.
going to tell you right now, it's really not. They kind of go into it more in later episodes, but the point
Oh,
is, she finds out that she can heal with water. And so she
yeah, which
heals her
is
own
a cool
burns
little
quite by
scene.
accident. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
cool little scene. And it leads to the scene with Zhang Zhang, where we finally get the guy. And he says, I envy your powers. And she said, why do you envy my powers? You're a firebending master. And he goes, yes, but you heal. Fire just destroys.
Pretty
That's
great.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's
That
a
is beautiful.
perfect
He
description.
he doesn't want to train Aang because he
Mm.
hates his own powers.
Yeah. He
I
does, and
love
he
that.
talks about how fire breathes. It's
Yes.
uncontrollable. Things like that. And it's an excellent point, isn't it? Because Earth's not going to react to a situation. Rock's going to be a rock.
Yeah.
Water's going to be water.
Air's
So,
going
yeah,
to be a little
fire can do
blowy, but
anything.
fire will burn you. Fire will
It'll
burn you.
hurt. It'll hurt.
And he inadvertently describes Zuko saying that the fire will eventually consume you and make you nothing but rage. It's just such a great scene that just encapsulates so much characterization without trying. The writing on this show is so next level. But we can't go on too long because it's time for Admiral Douchebag to show up. Admiral Douchebag.
Pretty dope, though. Puts the firewall up.
Oh, yeah, that was really cool. And yeah. Admiral Douchebag just comes right through it.
Someone was having trouble in the McCafe that morning and went, firewall. I'll write that into the script.
Zhao shows up and reveals that he was once one of Zhang Zhang's students or one of his subordinates. And he's there to take Zhang Zhang on. Aang and the others are about to escape, but Aang decides, I got to go back and help Zhang Zhang. So he comes back and he basically uses Admiral Douchebag's own, what's the word I'm looking for? His lack of restraint against him, causing Admiral Douchebag to basically torch his entire flotilla.
I love doing that and how Aang was playing it out. And it just goes to show that Admiral Douchebag is also not very intelligent.
He's not.
He should have been able to figure that out.
But you gotta love that line about, I thought you would have been a better firebender than Zuko is.
Oh. Yeah. Damn.
Hey,
like everyone's like,
you ain't firebending because that dude just got burned. Oh my goodness.
So true.
But yeah, I love how Aang basically has to embrace humility and say, I'm not ready for this. I would have liked to have seen Roku also go, yeah, you weren't ready for this. Jesus Christ. But that didn't happen. But what we do get is the gang flying off into the sunset. Zhang Zhang has disappeared. Has he disappeared forever?
Oh, well,
maybe not.
Probably not now.
Probably
because you alluded to that. But come on, that Admiral Douchebag, he's like the worst villain. He hasn't done anything so far in the series that I've legitimately thought he was a threat. He's just that annoying, like, I don't know. It's just like, you know how people succeed? Like, there are people who, no matter how mediocre they are, they just seem to get higher positions in life. I feel like that's what that guy is.
I'm aware of how American politics work, yes. But yes, he is one of those people who does always seem to fail upwards.
Yeah, it fails upwards, yeah.
We do have the season finale coming up, and I promise you he is quite the threat in the season finale. So much so that he actually makes an appearance in the spin-off series at one point. A very surprising appearance, which is when you see him, you're just like, oh my god, is that who I think it is? It is! Oh my gosh! But before we get there, we still have one more show before we get to the season finale. Next week, we will be visiting the Northern Air Temple because we've been to the Southern one. Why not the Northern one? And then we're going to be paying a visit to the Waterbending Master. So that'll be on the
I'm looking forward
on the docket for next week. So your final thoughts. What did you think of these two episodes?
Well, as discussed in the previous one, I think it's what it added was valuable enough, but yeah, a little bit weak. This was definitely stronger, but again, there are some things that I did scratch my head up in the way, like Aang's behavior in the beginning, and him not listening, him wanting to be taught, but him not really paying attention until he hurt somebody. But I suppose that's the lesson to be learnt there. No, I loved seeing the Fire Nation culture. I really dug that. I know never if I go to, I would love to have gone to that festival. However, I may not have eaten the food because of Soka's reaction to it, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh,
No,
it's fine.
good times.
It's like eating a bag of Takis here. It's fine. Do you guys have Takis in Australia?
No, we have something kind of similar. But yeah, they're insane. I can't go
Yeah,
anywhere near them.
Takis are disgusting.
I get indigestion just looking at the packet.
They're just the grossest things ever.
Yes, I've heard that. But yeah, man, like bring it on. 4 more eps. I want to see how this season finishes.
Of course, with every episode, we get closer and closer to live action Avatar. But I'm talking about
really interested.
I'm talking about the M. Night Shyamalan version because we still got to watch that.
I'm really? We have to? Yeah, I suppose we have to. I saw it the other day, actually. I was on a streaming service. I can't remember which one. And there it appeared. I'm like, ugh. I'll deal with you later. I shouldn't be like that. I've never seen it. And I tell you what, I may be the one person out there that goes, I liked it a lot. So, you know what? I'm going to be very open-minded about it.
And I'm going to tell you right now that if you do say that, we're done.
Yeah, you'll be going like,
we are done.
Why did you even how were you watching the same show I was watching? No, but already I can tell just by looking at the images that have been released with this Netflix series, they're really trying to be as close as they possibly can to the animated version. So that gives me hope. But to me, that will only succeed if they get the tone right. There's a specific tone they've created with this show that I think is something that gauges you straight away. There's this energy about it. I just hope the Netflix series can recapture that. Especially with your main cast, right? Your Aang's got to be your Aang. Your Soka's got to be your Soka. And your Katara's, like, you know what I mean? From a personality perspective. That's all I'm kind of hoping for from the show. But yes, the movie's coming.
I can tell you right now that and I don't know, I may be getting ahead of myself. One of the flaws of the M. Night Shyamalan movie is that it did not respect the source material. I don't think the director, the director didn't respect it. He didn't even respect it enough to pronounce the names correctly.
I heard that too. Yeah, he was getting
this
names
one
wrong.
This Netflix adaptation, at the very least, is at least getting the characters visually correct, and it's giving me hope. I am Zuko. This live action series is the Avatar. It gives me hope, but if it crosses me, I will burn it.
Well, I'm feeling very yes. I'm feeling very optimistic, and I'll say why. Because I would have been very prior One Piece last year, may have been very nervous going to a live action anime series again. But considering that was one of my favorite things I saw last year, One Piece, I'm very hopeful that they can tackle this animated series quite well. I know one's anime and one isn't, but either way, that was a way how you take source material, make the adaptations you have to make, because sometimes you have to make minor changes, and then just, hopefully we kind of get it. I've never heard of the filmmakers, though, that are making it. I might have to do some research on them, hopefully.
Yeah, I can tell you right now that if you call Avatar The Last Airbender anime, people will jump you on the street.
I know, I just said, that's why I clarified myself there. One Piece was anime, this is not. I know this is not. Even though it's highly inspired by it, and you can't deny that, it is not
I call it anime adjacent.
Anime adjacent, yeah.
I think that is acceptable.
Yeah. And
okay.
But just the idea of, taking a beloved animated series and making it live action, I think they've got a template there. It's like, they made this work, and they made it work really well. You guys can do the same thing with Avatar. And I think, I'm going on my rant now, is the fact that what One Piece works so well is because they got the tone and the energy and the comedy right, which I'm really hoping they do here. Because I had heard, not that I've seen the film, that the movie is not funny, not upbeat at all.
No, it's not. I've only seen it once. This will be the first time I've revisited it, and it's been like 10 years, maybe even longer. So there's lots I have to rediscover. So we'll see.
Who's hoping?
The things we do for you people at home, the things we do.
Yeah.
So that will wrap up this episode of Breaking Wind, a last Airbender podcast. Please join us next week as we look at the Northern Air Temple and the Waterbending Master. You can find me online at all of my usual hangouts, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Jason Roy Gaston. And my friend VHS Jace, where can we find you?
I'm spending a lot of time on TikTok at the moment. Come and check me out there, where I kind of run a little farm of what I call the member berries. So if you're into nostalgia, come on over to VHS on TikTok. And of course, in all the other shows that we do here on the great Jason Roy Gaston channel.
Absolutely.
And you know how else the audience can really get involved, Jason? By supporting your Patreon.
Oh, yes, please do. Look at the link.
Fantastic.
Look at the link below. It's down there. Please, 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 please. Blink.
There's
blink,
some
blink,
great
blink,
stuff
blink,
coming through there. Really exclusive content for you. We will get you involved. Direct messages sometimes for Jason. May not include pants. So there's lots to offer. That's the point.
Please stop requesting feet pics. My feet are delicate and they are not for human eyes. So that's it for this episode. Be sure to join us next time right here on Breaking Wind, a Last Avatar podcast.
There we go. Yeah, I think Uncle Rico. Yeah, he's getting a bit randy. I hope he gets a wife one day. I know you probably can't say anything, but I hope he needs a girlfriend.
He definitely needs a hobby. Well, he's got hobbies, but he needs I think he just needs a release every now and again. And you know what? I like to think that him laying there with Crazy Star Nose Mole Lady, maybe just talking to her, maybe he won her over, and then maybe he left her, and now she's sad.
I think honestly the whole entire Fire Nation needs to maybe get some stress relief.
Definitely Zuko.